I really feel for young people, man. Younger people who watch the NBA now because they just don't understand. They think it's a bunch of us curmudgeonly old men. Back in my day, back in '97, back in my day in '74, back in my day in '91. It's not that. It's that we're trying to tell you that it was better because we have the unique and envious position to have viewed different eras. Like I can tell you, like if I want to be biased, I can just totally not acknowledge Stephen Curry. But I'll tell you, if somebody asks me who's the greatest 3-point shooter of all time, I'm gonna tell you, like right now, you can still say Ray Allen, but Steph Curry is knocking on that door. If he hasn't opened that door already and said, Ray, get the fuck out. It's me. You look at the percentage, you look at the difficulty of shots he makes, okay? Yes, he's not at times the most clutch guy. Like if you're saying the most clutch 3-point shooters I've ever seen, then maybe it's Reggie Miller. Okay? But as far as accuracy, shots he's made, volume, it's Stephen Curry. And it's not even particularly close. So it's not a old guy hating on a young guy. It's just that you look at the slam dunk competition right now. And it's like Glenn Robinson III. Like, who? Who is he? Okay, like years before, man, you had the stars who were known for dunking come out and participate in these contests. I don't care about this guy. I don't care about some of these other people that have been in these contests the last couple of years. What, Zach LaVine? I don't care about these dudes. These are like role players. Role players playing in an all-star event. I'm sorry. I don't want to see role players, okay, during all-star weekend. I don't want to see that shit. And even Shaq and Kenny said something about this. The stars got to step up and start being in these competitions. Because I started noticing the decline in the late '90s with the slam dunk competition. It goes all the way back to then, really the '90s, because in the '80s you had the stars, you had Jordan, you had Drexler, you had Terrence Stansbury, who kind of flamed as a player, but still, you had Dominique Wilkins, you had Larry Nance, all right, you had Julius Erving, you know he was in his career if I haven't said him already, all right, you had Scottie Pippen, you had King the Jet, when he was with the Kings, he was still a decent player. All right, you had various other players, Sean Kemp. All right, you had J.R. Ryder. I can go on and on and on about the people who were in the slam dunk contest. Even Cedric Ceballos was an all-star. He was a 20 points per game scorer. Okay, starting in the mid '90s, it started slipping a little bit. You started seeing more of. You start seeing the A-list stars, and you started seeing the B-level and C-plus level guys, all right? But you still saw people were interested in seeing, the flashy rookie Kobe Bryant, all right? With so much potential. You know, we didn't know he'd be the second or third greatest shooting guard of all time, depending on how you feel about Jerry West. But you could tell he was going to be a special player. Even the year when Brent Barry won it, it was still awesome to see, you know, a guy of his status, which was Brent Barry was like a B- player, I guess, but still he was not a bum. Win it with that, you know, that classic free throw line dunk, with the warm up jacket still on. But then in the late '90s, it was after the Kobe Bryant contest. They took it away in '98. They just scrapped it because it was losing its originality. Of course, in the lockout year, we didn't have it anymore because there was just no All-Star weekend. But then they brought it back in 2000. Really was a showcase for Vince Carter. And Vince Carter put on one of the greatest performances of all time. All right? It was, to me, that was the last great slam dunk contest. You could say Dwight Howard was good. It was okay, but to me, Vince Carter was the last great. Even though it was a one-man, one-sided show, it was still remarkable because we hadn't seen any dunks like that before prior to that time in an NBA contest. But since that competition, you start seeing guys like Desmond Mason, and Desmond Mason was an okay player, but the level of players that you start seeing drop from even being solid secondary players to role players, and now you're to the point where you're seeing, I remember one year like Fred Jones, who the fuck is this guy? Then you start seeing guys that's like, who is this? Now it's to the point where you got Glenn Robinson, and like, I'm sorry, but the 3-point contest is now superseded the slam dunk contest. And the title might seem mean, man, but that's the truth, man. These are pretenders to the throne. That's why when people talk about physicality and athleticism and LeBron is greater than Mike, well, why didn't LeBron ever enter the slam dunk contest? And I don't want to hear no Monday morning quarterbacking by people or LeBron himself saying, "Oh, I regret not being in it." People had online petitions or something like that years ago when LeBron was still in his prime or close to it, begging him to get into a slam dunk contest, and I just have no interest in that. Well, fuck you. You don't get to be compared to a Wilkins or a Michael when it comes to slam dunk, when it comes to dunking ability, because you never even entered one. Okay? But it's going to have to come to the point where stars are going to have to enter this thing, man. Okay? There aren't really a lot of young, like, jammers or young athletic stars that, like, dunk a lot, you know what I'm saying? In-game dunks and shit like that. But it needs to be more recognizable people, all right? It was good that DeAndre Jordan was in the contest this year, but it needs to be more players from established teams that are known for their athletic prowess and ability, rather than these people who are role players. You know what I'm saying? Like, role players don't belong on All-Star Weekend. And the 3-point contest has become the premier pre-All-Star game event now. It's a sad decline from what it was back in the 70s and into the early 90s or the mid 90s. It's not what it once was. And like I said, there's some guys out there that would be a better upgrade than this. Okay, like at least start off with next year, have stars in this thing. I'm trying to think in my mind. This is why I always laugh at people who say that there's more talent now in the NBA than ever before. There used to be players on every team, or almost every team, that at least were premier or at least great dunkers, and they weren't even the best players. Like, you had a Darvin Ham with the Bucks, you had a what's his name, Kenny Skywalker with the Knicks. You see what I'm saying? You had these guys who were not necessarily great individual players, but they were known for their athleticism and their dunking ability, and you don't even really have that per se. And those guys were all better players than Glenn Robinson III, by the way. Well, definitely Kenny Skywalker at least. But this is sad though, man. This is like, I mean, it's sad. Like, shit. I'd rather see a guy like John Wall enter this contest again. I think he was in it before. Kyrie Irving. I mean, just something different, man. I mean, I would just rather see these guys being, even if they're not the greatest dunk artists. I just want to see some creativity. I want to see some star power in this event. I just don't. I don't know, man. Like, the creativity is just not there as it used to be. Okay, but we just need to see stars. Okay, maybe Giannis next year. He's becoming a fledgling player with the Milwaukee Bucks. Maybe a guy like him can be in this contest next year. He gets what I'm saying. Like, maybe even Anthony Davis I just want to see some stars. That's all I'm asking. Star power in this event. I'm not asking much, but tell me what you guys think.